And we can go ahead and start with Pepper again.
Hi, Ariel. Nice to talk with you again. What does it mean to you to be a part of USA basketball?
I mean, it means a lot. It's the best of the best, in my personal opinion. They choose the best players in our country to represent our country. So it's definitely like the top of the totem pole for me as a basketball player as far as my career.
Thank you.
Yep.
And Jen Hatfield?
Hey, Ariel. Just curious, when you got invited to practice with the 3-on-3 team this weekend, why did you decide that this was a good opportunity for you? And can you tell us a little bit about how everything's been going?
Yeah, well, I'm getting used to it. I'll definitely tell you 3-on-3 is different. You gotta have the lungs for it, but it's challenging. It's something that I want to do, and I'm excited that they called me to be a part of it because it is a challenge for me. The game is constantly moving, and it's something that I think would also help me in my 5-on-5 game as far as like transitioning from one play to the next. And also it's fun. It's kind of like, I like to call it glorified pickup. I mean, there are rules to it, but that's kind of what it feels like to me. And it's definitely fun, and I think people are gonna end up loving it.
If I can follow up on that real quick, I know Tosh is with you on 3-on-3, and how has it been getting to play with her again, and has that chemistry come back pretty quickly?
Well, I mean, this is her first time playing in a little while, so definitely it's been a little up and down, but more up than down, just because we're both kind of getting in the groove of being in 3-on-3 for our first time. Honestly, it has nothing to do with us having the opportunity to play together in DC or not. It's just 3-on-3 is a little different. Like I said, it's constantly moving, so there's not a lot of scheming that we're really doing right now. We're honestly just trying to figure out how to play within the rules and kind of the system that they already have in place here.
And we'll go to Grady.
Hi, Ariel. Grady Diaz here. So you mentioned, needing the lungs to play this 3x3. What do you work on in the off season that you feel like is helping you right now?
Well, that part, my cardio, honestly, just trying to make sure that I can withstand going up and down and being in games longer versus also understanding when I can exert more energy and not, and then get into the rack. I think adding that level to my game will open up the other two levels that I'm able to do.
And if you have a question, you can use the reactions button to raise your hand. Go ahead again, Jen.
On a slightly different topic, there was an article in the Washington Post earlier this month. Shout out to Candace Buckner for that. But she wrote about WNBA players educating themselves about COVID-19 vaccines and potentially raising awareness, throughout the season. Is that something you intend to focus on this season at all, or do you plan to stay focused on perhaps other causes that you've already been outspoken about?
Definitely stay focused on other causes. I think when it comes to COVID-19 and the vaccine, I feel like all those are personal decisions that people have to make, and I personally don't feel like I'm educated or knowledgeable enough to know to tell people one way or the other. So definitely going to stay away from the medical side of that.
Thank you.
And Grady, go ahead.
Ariel, what do you enjoy most about 3x3?
It's free. It's just basketball. There's no coach really. It's really just you and your teammates trying to figure out how to win a basketball game. And like I said, it's kind of like glorified pickup. Once the ball goes through the net, you got to take it back out, and then you're moving. So it really just makes you kind of feel like a kid again in the instance of just playing basketball outside with your friends. That's what it feels like. Of course, there's rules, and it's more, I guess, pressure because you could potentially win a gold medal for it. But that's when I think of 3-on-3, and as I've been playing it these past 2 days, that's kind of what it put me in the mind frame of.
Thank you.
And we'll go to Tyler. Tyler, I see you, Scott. We'll get to you next. So just Tyler.
There we go.
There we
Can you hear
go.
me now, Ariel?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. With you saying just kind of the piggyback of what you was talking about without really kind of not having a coach with the 3x3, how important is it to have good communication between you and your other two teammates?
It's extremely important. That's something that I've kind of figured out today as we were practicing. Even though it is fast paced, you still have to communicate. It's not really a play that you can take off without saying something as far as like who you're going to match up with or if there's a play that you guys want to run. It's extremely important.
And Scott, go ahead.
Well, you mentioned pickup basketball 3-on-3 twice. Growing up, did you have a lot of experience playing in the playground 3-on-3?
Yeah, a lot of it 3-on-3, 1-on-1, sometimes 3-on-4. It just depended on who was outside or who was at the gym that day. And I was able to play.
Did you ever think it would get to this level, like an Olympic level?
No, honestly, I mean, I've always seen like I'm sorry, were you still talking? No.
Did you ever think that the 3-on-3 would make it to an Olympic level like this
It never
when you
really
were playing?
Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like I keep cutting you off.
Go ahead, Ariel.
Okay. No, it never really crossed my mind. I've always seen the different tournaments that they will host in the neighborhood. I remember they had a Red Bull tournament one time that I was a part of as a kid. And different brands and different sponsors will put on different types of 3-on-3 tournaments. But I never thought it would actually be an Olympic sport, which is really cool. And I'm glad that they added this.
Jen, go ahead.
There we go. I was just going to ask you real quick about your contract extension with the Mystics. Congratulations on signing that. From your perspective, what made this offseason a good time as opposed to, waiting until next year, for instance?
Yeah, DC is a place I want to be. I think they've done everything in their power to help me grow, not only as a player, but also as a person. They're family to me. And so I thought it was important. I mean, we talked about it, we discussed it, and it was something that we wanted to get done. I understand that there's a lot of talk around why I shouldn't have signed or this and that, but DC is the place that I wanted to be.
Tyler, go ahead.
With yesterday, the matchup between Paige and Caitlin, how great was it to see the women's game receive so much hype on a national scale yesterday?
Yeah, it's fun. Even just not those two. I think what the girls are doing in college now, they're taking such control over their own brand and their own platform. And I think it's really dope. Even starting with the whole weight room thing that a lot of the players are going to TikTok to talk about. But I love it. I love the hype around it. I love the excitement and also the hype around them. It makes people not only focus on them as players, but also on their team. UConn, for instance, they had 2 other players that went off like crazy, Kristen and Davina. So, I mean, it's exciting for me because I wasn't really I'm still not into social media like that, but to see the players be so sure of who they are as far as what they're putting out, as far as their own personal brand, I think it's awesome.
Any more questions for Ariel? Go ahead, Jen.
Last one from me, I promise. But piggybacking off of that, I know Texas is playing tonight. What have you seen from them, and what do you think of the Vic Schaefer era so far?
Yeah, I mean, well, we're in the Sweet 16, so I think it's going pretty well, if you ask me. But I feel like they played some of their best basketball against UCLA, so I'm hoping that we can ride that momentum and just keep it going.
All right, thank you, everyone.